Welcome back to the lecture on fourth level of software process maturity framework, the managed process. This particular process is responsible to measure the quality of your process. So, in order to measure this process, uh, the managed process is going to focus on data gathering and analysis. So let us understand the principles of data gathering and analysis as a part of this lecture. First, the principles of data gathering. The gathered data, it should be in synchronization with specific objectives and plan of the organization. The choice of this data that is being gathered, it is based on a model that is being used. Next, the process must consider the impact on the entire organization. And last, management should provide its support to the data that is being gathered as a part of the data gathering plan. So these are the uh, principles of data gathering. So let us understand the objectives of data gathering here. There are basically four basic reasons for collecting the software data. So these objectives for collecting the data are listed down. First is understanding. So the data that is being gathered, it is used to learn about some process related to your data gathering or identifying the quality of the measure of your process. Next, evaluation. So the data gathered that can be used to see if it is going to meet the acceptance criteria of the product or not. Third is control. In order to control some activity, this data gather right. So this particular data gathering can be used to control some activity of the product or product development process. Fourth is prediction. So this is used to develop the rate or trend indicators. This can be done based on the data that is used or uh, what collected from your data gathering process, right? So what is the process used for data gathering? We'll try to understand now. The different steps involved in data gathering process are listed below. First is managing the data gathering process. So data gathering is an expensive process, so it should be done very carefully. So the data gathering process should be planned and managed with utmost care. So hence you are supposed to define the data very precisely, what is required and what is not required. So this is simply to ensure that only right information is obtained from the organization. Second is data gathering plan. So this particular plan is produced by Software Engineering Process Group. In short, it is called as SPEG. So this plan should cover the information on various parts of the process or the product. So first is what data is needed and by whom this particular data is taken and for what purpose this data is being gathered are supposed to be listed down. Next, what are the data specifications as per the product or process requirement should be listed down. So this particular question includes the initial data of your process development along with the plan for additional data that is required or needed in future use. Next, who will gather this particular data is also playing a major role whether the organization or this SPG group is going to collect this data. Next, who will support the data gathering process? So in order to gather data, some training program can be provided to a specific team. A support group, it can be used to answer the questions while the data gathering is being done. And next, how the data is gathered and how this data is validated and managed is also taken into consideration. So the listed information is needed in order to cover all the points in the data gathering plan. Right. And third point is data validation. This is the last step in your data gathering process. So data validation, it completely depends on the data that is involved in your right. So this is purely related to the data that is involved throughout the way of your data gathering process. So this actual validation actually based on the time measures and the total time taken. This is compared in order to validate the total number of elements of your product. Right. So next we'll try to understand the software measures. So software right. So software measures what are the measures that are supposed to be taken on the data and what are the characteristics of this data. We'll try to understand here. Right. So here this particular software process measures, it should have a certain list of characteristics first. The measures that are taken, it should be robust in nature. The measure should create a certain set of rules that are supposed to be followed. And next, they should be natural. They should result the process for your natural results. The measure should be very simple, and next, you can also think it like both the predictable and trackable results are identified by using this software process. So these are the basic characteristics of your software process. So the software measures are actually classified into the following categories that are listed below. First is objective versus subjective. Right. So objective versus subjective, it is going to distinguish what measures are taken, and this depends on human judgment. Second is absolute versus relative. So absolute measures, they are not going to affect and are independent in nature, independent in terms of your program size or your time. But when it goes with your relative measures, these are changeable or reactive in nature. And next, explicit versus derived. So under this explicit measures, these explicit measures are taken directly, but when you go with this derived measures, they are actually calculated from other explicit measures or derived measures also. Next, you go with dynamic or static. So dynamic, it depends on time, like what are the errors that might be identified in every month. This is taken periodically, but when you go with static measures, these measures remain unchanged. The measures are taken at the time of at the ending of your process development or at the beginning of your process development. So these are the, and when you go with your last one, that is predictive versus explanatory. So predictive measures, they can be obtained in advance. But when you go with your explanatory measures, they should be produced after identifying the fact only. Like you have come across a situation, based on that situation, you need to identify your predictive measures. Right. So next, we'll try to understand what are the different categories of your software defects. So there are your software can fall under any defective measure based on these particular categories. First is severity. So this is a measure which is going to uh, take the actual information related to the impact of any particular defect on users' operational environment or at the place where your user is going to operate your software. Second are the symptoms. So this relates to the observed system behavior when the defect is identified, how it is going to behave. Next, where your defect is found. So this particular thing relates to at which particular location your defect is being identified. Next, when it is found. So this indicates at which particular life cycle stage of your project your defect is found, whether at unit testing phase or functional testing phase, system testing phase. Based on that, your this thing is taken into consideration. Next, how it is found. While performing any operation, while performing which operation your defect is found. That is focused on how it is found. Next, when it is related to the cause, so this caused relates to which particular situation is going to cause your defects. Same is the case with at which particular time and how like how many errors are counted when your defect is caused. That is related to the cause. And last, related to your fixed. So here fixed indicates once your defects are identified, how are they fixed here, how are they overcome. So that is related to this fixed here. So where it is fixed, whether it is fixed by installing certain software changes or not. So these are supposed to be recorded when it is fixed. So this is going to help in evaluating. the in evaluating the software process. At the same time, this is also going to improve the maintenance and enhance the process uh, of your software development. And last, how it is fixed. So how the change of your software process is going to be affected or applied on your program. So that is going to be discussed about that is going to be discussed under this how it is fixed category. Right. So next, let us understand how we can manage software quality. So the best way to evaluate software organization is to examine the quality of its product. So the general classes of software quality measures are as follows. First, the first class is the development class. Second is your product class, acceptance class, usage, and repair classes. So these are the basic classes of your software quality measure. So how software quality estimation is made? So it is always recommendable to estimate your software quality. So this is based on the listed points. First is the programs completed by the organization recently that are supposed to be reviewed. This is simply to identify the most similar program and helps in proposing a product. Second step is you are supposed to examine the quality data from the programs which are identified in your previous step. Next, the difference between the product and process are supposed to be identified along with the estimated potential effects along with the estimated potential effects. Next, a new product development process is made, and this is based on the historical data of the organization. Next, the projection which is made in your previous step is now compared with the goals and plan related to the process improvements. This is simply to meet the goals. And next, you go with examining the quality profile of the product. This is helpful in determining the potential areas for the development related to your product. And last, you are supposed to produce a development plan with the process that is supposed to be used to achieve the identified quality profile. So these are the software quality estimates that are supposed to be taken into consideration. And last, we'll try to understand how to track the and control the software quality. So, in order to track and control the software quality, a dedicated authority is supposed to be created. The quality performance of your product is supposed to be tracked, and the report related to this particular software quality should be reported to this authority which is created. Next, this authority is responsible to validate the reported data and retain it in the process database. Next, the product and organizational performance data is periodically reviewed along with the plan. There is a senior management team. This particular team is provided with a highlighted report after publishing the quality performance. The senior management is going to review the overall performance of your software quality periodically. So these are the steps that are involved in tracking and controlling your software quality. So that's all for this particular lecture. Let us meet in your next lecture. Thank you.